Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Juan the Yarn Addict and welcome to another one of my variety shows. I hope you all are well. For today's variety show, I have three different things. So the first thing that I have is a bag 'em up. So I haven't done that in over a year. So I'm going to take these yarns out of the containers and bag them up into the clear cellophane bags. I'm going to showcase that in just a moment, but I need these containers for something else. So the yarn has to come out of these containers. I have 4 in total. You're only seeing 3 here. I have 1 over there, right here. So I'm going to take the yarn out of here, bag them up, and put the yarn in my yarn room. So stay tuned for that. The second thing that I have on the list for today's video is an unboxing. So I haven't had much luck with the wireless microphones. As you can tell, I don't have one on, and I'm doing my best to make sure that you can hear me as it stands right now. However, I went to Best Buy and I purchased a podcaster microphone. Hopefully this works. This is a blue Yeti, and I'm very excited about it because I've seen many podcasters on YouTube use this, and hopefully this does what I need it to do, which is to get you to hear me while I do all the things. So there's the second thing. And then the third thing that I want to do today is a little bit of a hook review, which I think I'm going to start here. So Donna, a good friend of the channel, good friend of the community here, sent me hooks a few weeks ago, and I had them here on the desk. I looked at them. I kind of connected the dots with what I needed for my collection, but I still wanted to speak to the hooks and which ones are vintage, which ones are not vintage, so on and so forth. And in the bag, we also wound up with a few sets of circulars, which I'll be able to speak to as well. I've showcased the hooks and everything, but I didn't really speak to it. So hopefully, again, this is of interest to you. I really hope that you enjoy this. Please be sure to do all the things. Hit that like button, hype up the video to get this in front of new viewers. I would really appreciate that. Maybe leave a comment or two throughout. What part of this video is your favorite? So let's jump into this organza bag. I took the hooks out. I've got them laid across. I'm going to slide us back so you can kind of see the table. Hopefully you can still hear me. If you can't, no worries. Eventually we will be up and running. I'll be sure to speak up. So let me slide back so you can kind of see what's going on here. So Donna sent me this organza bag, and I had these hooks in this bag. So I'll start with the circulars. So I've got 2 sets of clover circulars, 1 bamboo and 1 metal. So the bamboo is a 29-inch number 15. So it's a 10 millimeter knitting needle, 10 millimeter knitting needle. And from what I gather, when you work with circular knitting needles that are plastic, you're supposed to steam them to kind of loosen up the plastic. I haven't really worked with the plastic circulars as of yet, but I'm very interested in trying them out so that I can tell you if they're good or not. So yeah, so it says Takumi Bamboo Premium Circular Knitting Needles. I'll show you that one more time. Very, very nice. And it's got some key features on the back as well. It says circular knitting can be done easily using these. Knitting seamless garments for perfect creations, easy and convenient to carry. Which I have to tell you, carrying circulars as opposed to 2 long sticks is much easier to transport. So there's that one. And then we've got the metal circulars. These are, it says bamboo circular knitting needles, but they don't look bamboo to me. Let's see, it says a number 5, 3.75 millimeter. I'm very curious to know if these are actually the correct circulars. We're going to find out in just a moment. Maybe these aren't even Takumi's. I don't, let's see, 3.75, 3.75, yeah. I'm not sure why it's, well, let's see, bamboo circular. It doesn't say anything about metal. I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's the correct size, but usually in these containers, you have the wooden circulars. So correct size, what's the length here? It says 24 inches for the length. I don't have my measuring tape. I want to guess it's around 24 inches. So, yeah. All right. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt that it's the correct ones. But I will tell you that normally the Takumi bamboo needles and things, it's imprinted on the side. So you can clearly tell a clover knitting needle versus something that's not clover. So, I don't know. And then this third one here is a Knit Picks Classic Circular Knitting Needle. I've worked with these needles before, not these specific ones, but Knit Picks. I do really enjoy working with Knit Picks knitting needles. Very, very nice, especially with natural fibers. I haven't really worked with these with like acrylic, but let's see here. Do we have a size? So it's a 24-inch circular, a 3.25 millimeter. Very, very nice. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. You can see those, the color variant in those needles. And of course you have the Knit Picks classic color purple there, which I think is amazing. I'm a little biased. I do like purple a lot. Anyway, let me get those in there. Okay, now that the knitting needles are done, I can speak to the crochet hooks a little better. Actually, a lot better. Let me... Oh, and I have another Knit Pick needle here. It's a little thicker. I want to say it's a 4. Let me see. Just strictly guessing here. These look like interchangeables. Let me see. They are interchangeables. They're part of a set. Oddly enough, there's nothing printed on the needle itself. So there's no way for me to really tell just by looking. Let me see. I have a gauge on the other side over there. But let's focus on the crochet hooks. Okay, so let's move on to that. Sit that there. All right, so I have mostly Susan Bates hooks here. There are just 3 boy hooks. I separated them into 3 piles, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Obviously, boy hooks are off to the side because these are the only boy hooks. So B-O-Y-E is boy. So you can go to Walmart right now, you can go to Amazon right now and pick yourself up an entire set of boy hooks and probably spend somewhere in the realms of $10 to $20 for that entire set, which includes the thin steel hooks for like thread, such as number 10 classic thread to make doilies and things. I started one right there. I was just playing around. So the entire set, the entire set has one side steel and the other side aluminum. Anyway, there are certain characteristics that one should look for when you're trying to decide whether or not that particular hook, boy hook specifically, is vintage or not. So first and foremost, you have to look at the quotations, the quotes. So if there are quotes before and after the word boy, instant vintage. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, they did that way back when. They stopped doing that. It's been decades since they've stopped doing that. And so I immediately look for the quotes. Does it have it? Okay. So that's a dead giveaway. And let me see here. This one has quotes and this one has quotes. So these obviously are vintage. Just to save you some time, they're all vintage. So this particular one, let's talk about this. This is a steel hook. This is a size 7, which is typical for a number 10 thread. And a lot of doilies, doily makes are worked up with this size. But this here, it doesn't have the quotes. However, it's got the price, 15 cents, USA 15 cents. That's another dead giveaway. If your hooks have a price imprinted on the aluminum or steel hook, vintage. They stopped doing that a long time ago. So look for the price. Again, USA 15. You can also look at the aging, and sometimes its looks can be very deceiving because a lot of newer hooks that have excessive use on them may look vintage because of how much use they've gotten, but there's just these other characteristics that you need to look for. So again, look for the price, look for the quotes. The other thing that you should be looking for is the finish. So the newer hooks have a glossy finish as opposed to a dull finish. So look for the dull finish. Let me see if I can find a newer glossy one. Let's see. Well, newer. So these were around 2015. I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but this pink one has a little bit more of a gloss than this. I don't want to call it chartreuse green, but it's like a yellow green. I don't know if it's going to show that, but this letter K on that side is more dull than the pink one on this side. Anyway, just look at the finish. The duller your hook is, the more likely it is vintage. The other thing is the steel hooks that are not made for thread. So anything that's really heavy, there was a period in time where they were using steel for all of their hooks. So if you have one of those, that is a treasure. Hold on to that because they are very, very rare. I have a US letter J steel hook that is 29 cents. And it is tattered and all the things. I may get some fine grit sandpaper and just sand this all down, but it is very heavy, and I can kind of give you a close-up of this. So you've got the boy in quotes. Is there? Yeah, there's the boy in quotes there. And then on the other side, it's USA J 29 cents. So it may not be worth anything, but to me, as a crocheter, as a collector, this is everything. You know, once I get this sanded down and smooth again, this may very well be one of the go-to hooks. The older hooks are so good, they don't make them like they used to. So if you can get your hands on these older hooks, check out eBay. eBay is a really great place to look for vintage hooks. Susan Bates, boy, every day there's tons of listings. Also, Facebook Marketplace. I always go for the ones that has shipping available as opposed to meeting in person. I used to do that all the time. I've had some really bad run-ins with a few transactions, and I said, you know what, going forward with Facebook Marketplace, I'm looking to see if you ship. If you ship, then we'll do it. If you don't ship, we're not doing it. Okay, so let's jump over to Susan Bates. So Susan Bates used to be manufactured in the USA, and then they shipped their manufacturing to Mexico. And I'm not sure as of right now where they're being manufactured because I actually have Susan Bates made in India. I've had Susan Bates made in China. At least the packaging says that it's made in China. I don't know how true that is. However, the ones that I have here in front of me, they're all vintage, but this pile here, let me move this out of the way. This pile right here is made in Mexico, and this pile here is made in the US of A. So let me speak to these. So the ones that are made in Mexico, Susan Bates, I don't know when they started the manufacturing in Mexico, but I can tell you that as a crocheter over the years, I noticed that these hooks had the word Mexico stamped onto these hooks around or about 2012, 2015. And I wound up beginning my Susan Bates collection around that time. And that's when I noticed that I had some that said USA, but in the stores at the time, they were all saying Mexico. And I do have some here that look older than the others. The finish is more dull. Again, that's another thing just to look for. Also, the wording Susan Bates, as it stands right now, they're using print. They're not using cursive. So that's another way to distinguish, the difference between something that's newer versus something that's older. So these Susan Bates hooks are all in cursive. And I'm going to show you Is this the biggest hook I have? Yes. So you can see how it's in cursive, and underneath Susan Bates, it says Mexico. And then on the other side, you've got all the specs to the actual hook. Unfortunately, you know, manufacturing dates are not stamped onto these hooks, so we don't know exactly how old they are, but a roundabout figure. I would say these are about 10. So maybe, because I always like to mark 20 years or longer as vintage. So maybe these are not considered vintage because I'm guessing around 10 to 15 years. So older hooks, but not quite vintage, I guess. So I stand corrected. All right. These ones, however, I know for a fact are older than 20 years because, number one, hold on, let me grab some of these hooks. I had them separated, but then, okay. Number one, they're all cursive. Number two, they're all very, very dull. So in finish. So like a brushed metal, kind of a dullness. They work up beautifully. And also too, the tips, the heads of these hooks are different than the heads of the ones that are not necessarily vintage. So how am I going to be able to show you this? So, all right. Now, I'm trying to figure out the best way to show you this. So, the points are better. The older the hook is, the better the point is at the tip. So, for the Mexico manufactured hooks, you have the tip there, but it's not as pointy. Actually, let me show you this one. This is an old hook. You can kind of see how pointed that is. It goes right into the stitch very easily, very nice. The newer ones are more rounded. They're not perfectly round. They have a point, but not like this, where this is very pointy. You see that? It's very pointy. And then here is the hook from Mexico, manufactured in Mexico. The tip is there, but it's not as pointy. It's like a blunt point, if you will. Actually, this one here is a US letter K, so it's a little thicker. It's more of a blunt point. And I'll show you another one of my vintage Susan Bates. Look how pointy that is. Goes right into that stitch. And I'll show you another one of these manufactured in Mexico. It has the point, but it's not as blunt. Let me put them side by side. Maybe it's going to be one of those things where you just have to feel it in order to experience what I'm talking about. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's my take on the hooks. Again, I am not like a licensed, I don't know what you call those folks, but I don't carry a license to be able to tell you distinct, like, yes, for sure, that's it. Just based on my own personal experiences. That's how I classify the difference between something that's vintage than something that's not. And again, I know I spoke to these Mexico hooks, Mexico manufactured hooks as being vintage, but come to think of it, like I said earlier, I like to classify things as vintage as being older than 20 years. And so I don't think it's been 20 years since these hooks were made in Mexico. So they're not vintage, they're just older Susan Bates hooks, okay? So, and I say that too to say that we all have different experiences with hooks. So my words are not the end-all be-all, I promise. And then I have these, I want to say Japanese hooks. I don't know the name of them, but they've got Japanese writing on them. Let me tilt that to the light so you can kind of see. I have no idea what hooks these are. They remind me of the metal Prem hooks. They remind me of that, but yeah, I'm going to sit that right there. All right. Sorry about that. That was a message on my iMac. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do here is talk about this. Let's talk about this microphone. So as I mentioned, this is the third one for the channel. Now, both of the other microphones that I got in technically worked, but they weren't, well, the first one worked like a dream. It was amazing. And then all of a sudden, my software just did not want to speak to the hardware, and it stopped working altogether. So here's the first one. And it came in this case. You've got the one piece that goes into your phone or into the computer, and then you have two microphones. They're all charging right now because I tried using it again today to see if it would work. Unfortunately, no go. Okay, so the second set I got at Best Buy, it said on the box compatible with all things Apple, and I thought it was great. If you guys don't know this, I run on everything Apple. So anyway, I hook everything up, I start the live stream, and no one can hear me. And then there were moments where you could, and then it was too loud, and I said, you know what, this just is not working. So I wound up going to Best Buy today, and I picked this up. So this here is a blue Yeti, and this is your podcaster microphone. And I know personally from watching, there are many podcasters out there, not necessarily in the Yarny community, but across other communities where they use this, especially for like ASMR. They'll sit there and play with the microphone. They'll go like this to it, and it gives ASMR vibes. So I know that this works. But now the question becomes, will this work for what I need it for? And we will find out. I'm not sure if we're going to find out in this video. Actually, I know for sure we're not going to find out in this video because I have to learn how to use it. That's my new thing. I'm actually reading the manual before I plug and play. I'm already having issues opening the package. Such is the story of my life, trying to figure out all the things. How does this thing open? Figured it out. It opens on the side. Go figure. Wow. So we've got a USB cord. So okay, so this goes into the microphone, this goes into the computer. Unfortunately, my phone doesn't have this, but I do have the adapter. So the USB to the C for the phone. So hopefully that works. We've got some picture directions. This is perfect. We love the picture directions. The less you need to read, the better off we are. Oh, that's too funny. I love it. Okay. Let's, oh wow, look at this. So before I take it out, let me show you. Wow. This is heavy. I'm handing it to you like you were about to grab it and... Oh, here, do you want to hold that? But that's it. It's literally two pieces. I think this is amazing. I'm going to sit this on the desk and speak into it like we're totally profesh. I love this. In the near future, I can see having one of those arms that come down. Like I'll have it anchored onto something out of camera view, and I'll have the microphone hanging. I would like that very much for us. So you'll see like that. And all of this would just be hanging out of camera view and then like over here somewhere. True podcaster vibes. How cool is that, guys? So it's got like a volume. It's got the volume there and then the power button, and then on the back it's got these controls. I have no idea what those are just yet, but it says pattern under it with 4 options. And then at the top it's got gain. And here's the front. So hopefully I'll be able to sit here and maybe not do this for ASMR vibes, but I'll be able to speak into it and you guys will be able to hear every single syllable. That's what I'm hoping for. Because, number one, I really like the fact that you guys come and watch me, but I got to tell you, it's a little triggering for me to sit here and see that you guys are here, but you can't hear me, you know, or it's like, you got to turn it up, Juan. We can't hear you clearly, you know, and I'm clearly speaking as loud as I can, but technology's not allowing me to get the noise from me to you. So this looks like it's going to be very easy, guys. I'm very excited about this. Hopefully plug and play. Hopefully it's compatible. I'm not going to put this back in the plastic because as soon as our video is done, I'm going to go play and hopefully get this to work. All right, so now the fun part. I'm going to move my safety cutter here out of the way. This is so nice. It's a safety cutter. No matter what happens, I'm not going to get hurt. I love that. All right. So I have these bags. I picked these up from Amazon, and these are, what size? These are resealable cellophane bags. And these are 14 inches by 20. I traditionally use one size smaller. But since I've got a lot of the same yarn, I am going with these. So I have a lot of the same colorway. And it's a lot easier to move yarn in the yarn room when you're picking up one pack and it's got 6 or 7 of the same color in it, or 6 or 7 skeins, period. Then moving one at a time. Like, for the studio, it's fine. I come in here, I grab 1 for a project, 2 for a project, but like in the yarn room, it's strictly storage, and I need it to be in a way that I can move the yarn quickly if I need to. So, and yes, I do reuse these bags. So once I go through the bag, I have a pile. It's all used up. That's why I'm going back to the new ones, but I reuse the used ones that I fold back up. I have a special bag that I put them in. So all of the bags that I have used so far on the channel are still in use at some point somewhere in one of my rooms. So I don't like to throw away these bags because they're resealable. And just for reinforcement, I use packing tape. Okay, so let's jump into this one right here. Again, it's all big twist, and let's just pop this off. I'll tell you what I need this for in just a moment. You're probably going to laugh. So I need these containers to put under the guest room bed, under the bed in the guest room, for winter clothes. I mean, not winter clothes, summer clothes. So I'm going through that process where I donate, keep, and all of that. So I've done all of that. I've got my piles. I've already taken the donation summer items to Goodwill. I have the, I'm getting my things mixed up. So I'm taking, yeah, is it summer? So I went through the summer items. I have a pile for donate. I have a pile for keep. So the donatables went to Goodwill. The keep, excuse me, the keep will go into these containers here. So let me just put that over here. And then these will go under the bed. I have 4 of them, and I figured with the width, 4 of these going side to side from the headboard to the footboard, I may actually be able to fit a 5th one. We'll see. Anyway, oh, look at that. I've got some hometown in here. Oh, true Yarn Addict vibes. Oh, this will fit in there. I've got some Red Heart Super Saver in here. This colorway is called Cafe au Lait, Cafe Latte. I may be able to fit that in here. And what colorway is this? This is called Espresso. 2 espresso skeins, and these are the old labels. I spoke about this recently. These labels here are the old Loops and Threads labels. So this is Craft Smart Value Economy yarn. It's the same exact yarn, just a different label. I love this yarn so much. I love all the yarn. All yarn is good yarn. And so my goal here is to try and get full bags. I mean, if I can get all the same color, great. If I can't get all the same color, totally understandable. I think I have enough of the same colorways here to give us bags of the same color. Am I too far away? Hopefully I'm not too far away. Where's my tape? Okay. You know, when I planned out this video, I had it in my mind how I wanted it laid out. I wanted you guys to see me at this angle. Done. Check. The only thing that I think is an issue right now is the microphone, because I'm like really far away. I mean, sometimes change is good, right? Because you're always seeing me at that angle with this behind me. I mean, it's still behind me, but you know what I mean. Anyway, crinkle alert. Actually, maybe it's good that we're a little further away with all the crinkles. We'll see. Some of you are probably saying, Juan, just get to work. Get to work, Juan. So I have yet to figure out a proper way of doing this. Let me see. Do I want 4? Can I fit 6? No. So I have a little trick. When I use these cellophane bags, I do not rip these off at first. I use the tape first. When I go back to the bag and use it, I take my tape and I fold it. And then I rip this off and I use it the second time. So yeah, I save the stickiness for the second time. First time I use this. Let me loosen this up a little bit. That's a little too loud for us. This colorway here is called Sapphire. Really nice blue, big twist. Yeah, I spoke about this many times, guys, but it bears worth repeating. I used to not be a fan of big twist. However, something they did improved the quality of the big twist yarn before Joann closed. And then I became this huge fan, and then Joann closed. So, right down there. Okay. So it's going to be 4 per bag. Fortunately for us, I have plenty of these bags. And so I have 4. Okay. Yep. This is going to be nice. I'm going to leave the extras over to the side, so whatever I can't fit, like let's say I have like 1, 1, 1, I'll save the onesies for later. I used to have this down to a science. Last year when I did my yarn bagging, we did it in this fashion. I think the camera was literally over there, but we had this all down to a science. It was so good. So I have to get back into the rhythm of things. I have tons of yarn that I need to bag. I don't like loose yarn in my yarn room. I want everything bagged, so when I need to move the things, it's easier. I've got an entire unit, actually multiple shelves, maybe 10 to 15 shelves, front to back, top to bottom, of all loose yarn of Premier yarns. I mean, I love my Premier yarns. I left it loose because I wanted, I want to be able to just move and grab. But the downfall to having yarn all loose like that is if you don't remember to put everything back where you found it, it becomes chaos. And that's what it is over there right now. Because I'm doing these premiere features on my podcasts, and every week is a different one. And so to prepare for the one that's coming up, I had to dig around to find all the colorways. And I knew I had the one colorway and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, I don't need to order this because I know it's here. Where are you? Please tell me where you're at. It never answered, but I found it. I found it. And I know this method is not for everyone, but I will tell you, I love doing this because, again, with one hand movement, I'm moving 4 skeins. It's very efficient. And these particular bags have holes on the bottom to allow the yarn to breathe. So, just because I know some of you may ask that, yes, these particular yarns are being held in bags with holes, and they're at the bottom here. You can't see them, but they're here at the bottom. So, and if you wind up getting your bags and they don't have holes in the bottom, just grab yourself a hole puncher. Take about 5 at a time and just hole punch 2 holes at the bottom and you're good. And the reason for that, you want your yarn to be able to breathe, especially if you're planning on keeping them in here for the long haul. Without breathing room, the chemical in your yarn, meaning like the dye, it starts to break down. So you want to make sure that your yarn skeins can breathe. Now for short-term storage solutions, it's perfectly okay to do whatever you need to do in the moment. Now, if you're using the Ziploc bags, like I love using those from the $1.25 tree, you get 6 of them for $1. 2-gallon zippy bags. So if you're using them and you're not wanting to hole punch the bottom of the bag, because maybe in the future you may need that for some other craft, what I do is I take the zip part and I don't close it all the way. I keep about, what is that, 2 inches? I keep about that much unzipped so that it can breathe. You just want some oxygen in there. So, yeah. You know, I also have to tell you, this all came from the inspiration behind watching Nancy's videos. So not my sister Nancy, she doesn't have a channel. I wouldn't want her to either. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it is what it is. So Nancy over at She's Got Yarn, she started with these bagging videos and she inspired me to get my yarn together, bag it up. And so, yeah. Nancy, if you're watching, thank you so much for the inspiration. It still continues. She's got, I mean, I don't know if she's done bagging videos lately, but last year and the year before, yes, many, many videos. I'm sure you'll be able to find them on her channel. She's got all different size bags. She's got bags for different kinds of yarns. She was the bag 'em up professional. Me, I just have 2 sizes, 14 by 20, and then I have the 13 by 19, something like that. 1 size smaller than this. And that smaller bag only fits 3 skeins. That's it. It's 3 side, like 1, 2, 3. That's it. Which I could have used that, but I like the idea of being able to fit 1 extra skein in here. So that's nice. Anyway, thank you so much for keeping me company. I really do appreciate it. You guys, believe it or not, are doing me a service. It feels nice knowing that I'm talking to someone. So if you're still watching, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching me do this. Maybe this will inspire you to do the same thing. If you want, you can use my link. I am an affiliate for Amazon. I'll post my item links. It's by item. So it's not like a universal thing, but it doesn't cost you anything to use my links, but I get my materials from Amazon. So if you're inspired to do this and you want to try it, click the link. It doesn't cost you anything, and they give me a few cents on the dollar to support the channel. Look at this, 1 down, 3 to go, actually. So these 3, I'm going to put, where am I going to put these? I'll put these over here by Matt. I have a place on the wall here for these. My brown cubbies has a few spots available, I think. Down there in the corner. You can't really see it, but down here in the corner. Hometown, I'll put over there. That actually, these, now I'm going to make some hats and scarves with that. All right, so let me slide up. We're going to move on to this container right here, which I've got 1 red left over, and I left it there on purpose because if you can see, I've got red here. I really stuffed this one. All right, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way. There we go. Slide you back. Okay, perfect. I have to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so we will jump with the red. So I've got 5 red, still an oddball. Maybe another container has the other red. I try to buy in even numbers. So, like even with Premier, when I order my Premier yarns, 3 come in a sleeve, so I order 6. Or I order 12. I don't ever order in odd numbers because when you pack your yarn away, it's really hard to justify like having that extra space where if you just finagle it with an even number, it lays flatter. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but love it, love it, love it. So you may be asking yourselves, Juan, why all the big twist? Well, I have to tell you, Joann's was closing. And at the time, we had no idea if Big Twist was going to be a thing. So I took it upon myself to purchase some retirement yarn, you know? And fortunately for us, Big Twist is available, not like it was at Joann's. Let's be honest here, it's not the same. You go into a Michael's, they have a gondola filled with Big Twist yarn. You can go onto Hirschner's website, you'll see a selection there. You can go to Mary Maxim, you'll see something there, but it's not like it was at Joann. And so I said, if they decided to come back with Big Twist, it may not look the same way, meaning all of the options that were available at Joann may not be readily available in these other places, and I was correct. So there's a lot of options, but some of those options are no longer in existence. So, yes, but as for the solids here, I have this idea. So I have tons and tons of patterns on my Ravelry. I'm going to put together crochet kits, and I'm going to be using some of this yarn. So if I'm going to be doing that, then I need to make sure that I take top-notch quality care of these yarns, because if I'm putting them in kits, I want them to be well cared for. Highest quality yarn, you know? So yeah, these are going to eventually be crochet kits, whether it be for a blanket or a shawl or a hat and scarf set. And I will be putting all of that in my Etsy store. And you know, I have to tell you something. I've been placing items in my Etsy store, and as soon as I get it in there, it's sold out. And I don't know. I mean, it's good for me, but it's frustrating, I would imagine, for those who would want something. Like, it's not even in there long enough for me to post on socials that it's even there. So I did a test run. I posted some mystery bags, some $10 mystery bags, and I did it without telling anyone. I did it on purpose that way. I said, let me go ahead and make this post. 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. And then here's this one. Okay. So far, everything is working out evenly. So anyway, I did that post. I posted the mystery bags there. And it was just 2 of them. And so I posted it. I went to go make dinner. And by make, I meant start dinner. So I was making tacos. So I put the ground turkey on the stove, right? I got the rice started. I came back, empty. It was empty. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just put the things there. I mean, it's like I said, it's good for me, but I have a lot of people asking me like, hey, Juan, there's nothing, like, we can't find your Etsy, you know. And the thing about it is, if there's nothing in my Etsy store, it's going to be a little difficult to find, because, you know, they're only going to pull me into that algorithm if I've got things to show. So you're actually going to have to type my storefront name, Juan the Yarn Addict, and actually do a hard search and look for it, you know. Anyway, I'm not complaining about my items selling so fast. I'm complaining that they're selling out too fast. I just want everyone to have a fair shot, you know? Maybe I just need to put more items in there, but it takes time for that to happen, you know? So when I do my crochet kits, I'm going to wait until they're all done. I'm going to do a whole bunch of them. And I have a spot in my squirrel's nest where I'm going to, by the way, I bought a shelving unit to put in the squirrel's nest for my crochet kits. So all the completed kits will sit there, and then as they sell on my Etsy store, I'm just going to go to that shelving unit and pull the crochet kit that was just purchased. So anyway, yeah, it's just the whole process. But I'm going to wait until I have a lot to make the posting. So that way I can go on my socials, tell everyone that it's there, and hopefully those of you who have been having a hard time making a purchase will be able to make a purchase. Someone also suggested, why don't you sell like yarn? Like, you've got tons of the same colors, you know. I have thought about it, and if I've got that much extra of a particular colorway, then yes, you will find it there. And I will tell you guys a little secret. If you're making it this far into the video, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% for sure, because I've already got it in the squirrel's nest ready to go, be on the lookout for Ice Yarns Picasso. I've got tons of it. And so I'm going to make a posting in my Etsy store, and it will be readily available, but I'm not going to put it in there until I've got everything like bagged and ready to go. So as those orders come in, I can literally just slap a label and send it on its way. So very excited for you guys for that. I know there's a lot of interest, but I will tell you that it did cost because of the tariffs and the taxes and the extra fees and things, but I do have it. And you know, while I'll try to absorb as much as I possibly can, it's not going to be the price it used to be. Back in the day, you could pay, what, $7.99 for a pack of Ice Yarns Picasso. And then to have it shipped here to me, it's twice the cost. So roughly $15, $16 for that. Now, if I had made a larger purchase, some of that delivery fee would have been absorbed. But anyway, I know this because I placed an order for one. There was only one left, and I ordered it, and it was twice the cost. Anyway, that is a thing of the past. If you go on Etsy right now and you look for it, you'll see the price. And my price will be very comparable to that. So that might actually be one of the items that sticks around. Who knows? But if not, it'll be there for you guys if you want it. I'm really enjoying this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do all 4 containers. What time is it? 47? Yeah, I may not be able to do all of them, but I'll at least finish this one, which is super nice. I do have some other yarns that I'm going to be putting in the Etsy store as well. Stay tuned for that. I may speak to that on an upcoming podcast episode, like which yarns am I putting in there, because I am a yarn collector. Like, I love to have yarn, but there are some yarns that I've been sitting on for years that I just don't want anymore. They're not vintage. So one of them I can tell you right now is Red Heart Super Savers Speckle in like that navy blue. Right above this cubby right here, I have an entire cubby. There must be at least, what, 18 of them. And I bought them for a project, and then very quickly I decided, you know what? I don't really care for this yarn. I mean, I like Red Heart yarn, but the speckle yarn in that navy blue, it was too busy for the stitches that I was using for it. So, yeah. I've got a lot of this red too. Gotta tell you, I love this Big Twist red. It's so nice. It's a very vibrant red. Very nice. I had someone tell me, Juan, it's red. We get it. We like red, right? They're all the same. I said, stop. It's not all the same. If you are a fiber artist, if you crochet, if you knit, if you do anything with yarn, I mean, you're watching me, you can agree with me on this. You can't just call all shades of red red. There are so many different names for the different hues of red. There's cherry red, there's Barbados red, there's just, I mean, different gradients of red that don't even have the word red in it. right? So like burgundy, wine. I mean, these are all shades, different hues of red. And yeah, no, I was told it's red, dark red, light red, medium red, red. Oh, the things that I entertain, you know? Anyway, it's perfectly okay. What I'm probably going to do is finish up this bin here, and I'm going to save the rest of these bins for another video. I have tons. I've got my Premier wool in there that needs to be rebagged, or no, not rebagged. It needs to be bagged, the ones that are not in sleeves. I got to bag that all up, organize it, and yeah. It's a journey, guys, to organize a yarn room. Like, there are different ways. It's a lot easier to organize a yarn room if you're not bagging it, if you're just restacking all of the yarn. But think about it for the long haul. Like, you can go ahead and restack that yarn, but like, if you're looking for yarn that's behind and under all of the things, all of that has got to come out. And you now have to finagle with all the things to get it back where you found it. I'd rather pull a bag of yarn like that, you know, one bag at a time until I find what I'm looking for. And I'd rather fuss with one cellophane bag of yarn, you know, than an entire stack. So for my storage purposes, it makes sense. But it's different from person to person, and I can totally respect that, you know? So, yes. All right, so there's that. I do have I have 2 shelves of Lion Brand mandala cakes that I need to bag up. So I'm going to be ordering a different size of cellophane bag, just wide enough to be able to house those cakes. So stay tuned for that. I may do that in its own video. I really do enjoy a good mandala cake. They're just so much fun to crochet with and knit with as of late. I'm doing the Simply Fall knit shawl with a Lion Brand mandala in Guidora, and I'm just loving it. So whether if you're knitting with it or crocheting with it, it's so good. Really enjoy it. I just realized I have an oddball there. That's not fun. I thought I had 4 of those. So that colorway is Rust. That's Rust. This here, I think, is Light Sage. Let me see. Sage. Which, what is this? This is called Sage as well. So Battle of the Sages. Loops and threads, more like a vibrant, brighter sage. Let's see. Big twist. Little darker. Different hue of sage, but yeah, very nice. And then what is this? Light Sage. So this is Light Sage, Loops and Threads Sage. Wow. That's cray-cray. I love it. All right, let me put that in there. I'm getting distracted. That happens a lot when I do these videos. But that's okay. There we go. I don't think I have any big twist in that bottom bin. What I'm probably going to do is take one of the rusts off the wall and make a bag for it. Just makes it easier to store, you know? So this will be the last bag. Let's see. One, 2, 3, and 4. These videos are amazing if you like the crinkles. If not, I do apologize in advance. Thank you for watching and supporting anyway. Okay, so let me slide up. All right. So as I mentioned before, I really hope that you enjoyed these videos. If you did, please be sure to do all the things. Hit that like button, leave a comment and tell me which part of this video was your favorite. And don't forget to hype the video if you can. I know there's a limited amount of hypes that you can give your videos that you watch in a week, but if you still have one available, I'd really appreciate it. It's going to put this video in front of people who have yet to encounter my platform or my channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until the next one, take care. Bye.